we deliberately confuse maleness with masculinity and femaleness with femininity in order to be more comfortable having the conversation.
I actually don't. That isn't my hang-up, because for me, male, female is easy.
Right.
It's when somebody is using male, female as monikers for feeling masculine or feeling feminine that this gets all tangled up.
Well, this is what I'm saying. These things, I have female friends who are very masculine in terms of how they think and behave.
I have a female wife that's like that. So I know exactly what you mean.
Now, does that make her less female?
No.
So in other words, how you feel and whether you feel masculine or feminine is not a determinant of whether you're male or female.
Correct.
Therefore, feeling female does not make a male female.
Correct.
Therefore, this whole conversation is pointless.
False. That's where I would say that it is deranging as I watch very smart people either act as if they can't see the difference in what people are saying, because what we need is just another word for the way that I feel. So I map my internal emotions onto the standard human with vagina, right?
Hold on. The claim that trans ideology makes and trans activists make is that if I say the words, I am a woman, I am now female. That is the claim.
So I may be arguing for the wrong thing. And so if they're saying that saying it means that you suddenly have a vagina.
Well, that's what self-identification means. I identify as a woman means I feel feminine. Therefore, the fact that I have a penis doesn't matter because my feelings overrule the biological reality.
Is that really what you're saying?
Yes, and I'm there.
But hold on, how do they explain the penis?
It's a female penis.
Okay, so...
It's a female penis.
Great.
Suck it. That's what they want. Suck the female penis.
Fair. Now, I will say that that's what I'm getting at is we have to...
I had to do that.
No, it's
too funny.
Too funny to pass up. As a fan of comedy, I'm here for it. But that begs the point that I'm trying to make, which is we have to differentiate between this human is male, female, which I think because for all of human history, that's what we've called it. Let's just stick with that. And so we need a new thing that's like, I feel like, I believe I have the internal brain structure. That's probably very misleading because I could scan your brain to see it's not true. I have the internal
feelings,
brain makeup, because it will be, I think, hypothesis.
Much better to say I feel. Then
we're going to get to the I feel part, but I have a feeling that the I feel part is nudged by that 20-sided dice. That some people, were we able to truly just map all the confluence of things that make you feel masculine and feminine, just like my wife, there's something about her from the time she was a little kid, she was tomboyish. So it's like, she's got a thing that just like predisposes her to being a little bit aggressive, not being as emotional. I know some people are going to freak out about that, but my wife is very, not as emotionally sober as me, which she will be the first to tell you, but way more emotionally sober than somebody else that falls more typically on the feminine spectrum. Jesus, this is why we need words for this. So,
well, this is why simplicity solves this.
I don't think it does.
It really does.
I'm going to listen.
Okay.
Tell me.
Look, maybe I'm not letting you talk, but let's come back to the female penis.
I love you so much. Talking to you about this is amazing. You've given me all the space. I just want to make sure that I understand where you're coming from.
So the trans ideology claim, the trans activist claim, is that self-identification is how you know whether someone is female or male. Self-identification means abracadabra, Stacy. Having uttered the incantation, I am a woman, I become Stacy. Okay?
Yes.
And therefore, I am entitled to be treated in our society the way a woman is treated. I am entitled to be housed in a female prison. I am entitled to go into a female changing room. I am entitled to compete in female sports. I am entitled to be treated as a woman because I am a woman. That is completely outrageous and unacceptable. If the claim were, I am male, but I feel that I have a set of behaviors that our society conventionally associates with females, and I therefore wish to wear a dress, wish to have my hair long, wish to wear makeup, wish to paint my fingernails, wish to change the way I speak, wish to dress in a way that most women do. Cool. Go do it. Be you. But the moment you make the claim that you are a woman, you are making a claim, A, a truth claim that isn't true, and B, a claim that entitles you to the certain protections that we've allocated to women in our society, which you're not entitled to by virtue of the fact that you're not female. Does that work as a starting basis for this conversation?
It works as a starting basis for this conversation. I'm going to steel man everything you said, because that is as I understand it. And I think that there is a demarcation point that we have to draw that I think ultimately, I won't prognosticate about where we end up. So I'm going to steel man the argument. Let me know if I missed anything. So a trans activist would say that the thing that makes me male or female is the way that I feel. And if I, regardless of whether I have the genitalia of a male, if I feel female and I say that I'm female, then I am a woman. If I feel like a woman and I say I'm a woman, I am a woman. And therefore, you should treat me and give me all the protections that a woman would get. So spaces that are reserved for women, I should have access to that. Prisons that are reserved for women, I should have access to that. Sports, I should be able to play in sports and compete against other females. Have I understood the argument?
Yes.
Okay. So operating from that, and I will say, I'm talking to everybody now. Like, hey, everybody that wants to have this conversation, there is a conversation to be had, but you really have to begin to break these things apart. Now, given what you just said, I think there's going to be a bone of contention. Here's how I feel, that on the trans activist side, there is a refusal. They've created a category, maybe. So what I was going to say is, from the trans activist side, there's a refusal to create a category for people that are in alignment, both with the physical sex of their body and their feelings.
No, they call those cis. Yes.
Yeah, so that's why I stopped myself. So what they are perhaps not being intellectually honest about how we need to categorize things. So let me walk through this. The way that I would want to have a productive conversation is everything in its category, so that we may then talk honestly about the consequences, the second and third order consequences of these categorizations. So one, I'm introducing a new thing to the argument, because even if I'm willing to adopt cis, which I'm not, there's something about that makes me feel manipulated, because they're trying to co-opt something that's existed for so long. I'm totally cool for introducing a new category. There's something that I haven't thought through about why I don't like the co-opting of something old. That feels sleight of hand. So I'm going to set that aside for a second. So I'm introducing a new idea to this discussion, or trying to, which is that I think that there is something to be said about being nudged. And there's a malleability in here. And if we're not being honest about the malleability, we won't understand why it's important to get the categorization right. Because I'm saying that there is once we say, okay, the biology is pretty clear, you're either male or female. And yeah, look, some things in the margins, pretty fascinating, but so marginal for people that have both a penis and a vagina, which does happen. Crazy, but true. Setting that aside for a second, everything about the brain does feel like it's A, hyperfragmented, and B, that everything's a spectrum, which is why I've always considered myself to have a slightly more feminine temperament. My wife has a slightly more masculine temperament. And that is one of the reasons that our marriage is so good. And when I give marriage advice to people, I always feel a little bad, because I'm like, well, if your wife is hyper feminine and you're hyper masculine, this is all going to be a fucking nightmare. And good luck, because you guys, one of you really is from Mars and the other really is from fucking Venus, and you're alien species. And goddamn, you can raise kids, but holy hell, like the two of you trying to like really be each other's soulmates and get all the things that I'm telling you you're going to get, probably not so much.
Don't know. That's been exactly my experience.
Yes, but are you hyper masculine?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then it can work
He's
out.
calling out my masculinity right on camera. Unbelievable.
Because I have an internal definition of hypermasculine of the Jocko Willink is hypermasculine.
Yeah, but
and if he's able to do it, then word.
being masculine isn't about having muscles. But anyway, it's not.
Can we agree that there is a category of human that I call a pub brawler in the UK? And
Yes.
you can take one look at that motherfucker and be like, oh, I know a lot about you based on the shape of your head.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just saying there really are things that manifest physically that like...
You've defined masculinity in a very narrow way.
I haven't defined masculinity. I have not made any attempt to define masculinity yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Other than I have
opening
earlier said,
big cans of
God, I
worms.
know. If viewers are having as much fun listening as I am talking, we'll keep going.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm trying to introduce this idea of nudgeability. We are malleable. We are shapeable. You can sway somebody. My wife has made me more masculine over time because she's actually more into that. She probably takes for granted the part of me that's hyper communicative and in touch with my emotions and able to admit my insecurities. She probably just takes it for granted. But honestly, there was a time in our relationship where she straight said to me, "Your insecurities aren't sexy." And I quote. And I was like, oh, God damn. So I realized, A, that's true. I need to fucking toughen up here, deal with my insecurities, be a bit more manly. And she was way more into that, which she rewarded them with sexual attention. I'm fucking nudgeable. Like, you can encourage me in directions. So anyway, I want nudgeability, malleability, shapeability in here. So that then we have to ask questions. What direction are we going to nudge people? Because you're going to nudge people, whether you mean to or not. And seeing celebrities dress their boys up in dresses, you're nudging them, whether you mean to or not. You're nudging, you're shoving them. So, but hey, blue and trucks and all that, one could argue is not nudging, is shoving, whatever. But let's have that on the table. Okay, so if we are somewhat malleable, but trying to push somebody all the way in a direction ends in fucking disaster. I forget the kid's name. The set of twins, born, circumcised, the circumcision machine burns his penis off. I think his name was David, or his code name was David.
Yes.
And do you remember the...
John Money's the guy who did it.
Thank you. And so he said, oh, doesn't matter. Blank slate, raise him as your daughter. It's going to be fine. He'll never know. And of course, ends up committing suicide. His brother commits suicide. Fucking crazy
And
stuff.
John Money was a pedophile.
Lovely. If that's written and taken out of context, I'm kidding. That's obviously horrifying. There are limits to how far we can nudge them. We need the categories. We need to understand where people are going to fall so that we are very open and honest about, yeah, you can push people in a direction. There will be second and third order consequences. You need to really be thoughtful about what that is. And when in doubt, I would say, looking at history to find a way of something that has worked, not perfectly, but reasonably well, would be probably the place to start with that. I'm going to pause there. I don't know that
Tom,
I'm finished. But
Let me say a couple of things
please.
at this juncture. I love you. I really look up to you. I learn a hell of a lot from you. I really admire you. And I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
Okay. If you like that clip, check out the full powerful episode here, and I'll see you there.